Okay, so Mortal Kombat 11 comes out tomorrow, and some of the endings were leaked already. So the ending to what's called the tower endings, in this case with Jax, is a bit, as they might say, problematic. So in it, Jax, like any of the other player characters when you pass the game, control time. That's cool. Not exactly setting up a solidly explained narrative, but this is a game where you tear your enemy's limbs off in a variety of lethal takedowns, so being sensationalistic is kind of the point. However, in this particular ending, they decide to go full SJW. Now, Raiden warns Jax that if he fixes his life or history with his new time traveling powers, he could lose his wife and daughter. His response is, "But this power's bigger than us. If I think only about helping myself, what kind of officer am I? What kind of man?" Which says nothing of any kind of time paradoxes or shenanigans these kinds of stories involve, which we're not really expecting, as the writing level of this kind of game is not exactly sophisticated, deep, or going to suddenly have hard science fiction standards on time travel. Now, Jax is an American Special Forces guy, so he's very patriotic and pro liberty and all that. So you'd think he'd want to preserve American ideals and standards, but no, he actually wants to destroy them. We then see a scene of what looks like either the Atlantic or some Asian slave trade. And I only say Asian because there's a potential Asian instrument sound in the background and what looks like Chinese junk ships, although these could be clipper ships, but those are much younger, and the Atlantic slave trade was around the 15 and 1600s. So ending slavery in Europe will probably impact history, or at least America, in a huge way. We then see some Europeans of the 16th century wearing their Tudor rough collar things and bowing to perhaps Aboriginal men, could have been slaves from the previous scene. I'm not sure, as they seem to have the same boats in the background. So Jax was able to go back in time and then somehow told people on those boats to be nice or to free their slaves, I guess. I mean, this is a huge undertaking to just suddenly stop slavery in only the 1600s, and then speculate the labor shortages or other impacts simply not having a person at a certain place at a certain time, and we get into all kinds of questions. And the dialogue over this is, "And I'm not waiting centuries for people to get woke when I've got the power to speed things up." Now, I don't know exactly what that means, because time travel means going from A to B in time, not speeding time up. You're just going from here to there. How do you stop an entire cultural practice? Are you like the time? "I am the time god. Listen to me. Stop enslaving man." It's like, why? And of course, there's no mention of the butterfly effect or how that impacted European politics or lifestyles or culture or the founding fathers. Jax just suddenly magically stopped the slave trade in Europe. The next scene is of him describing screwing things up or not getting it right, which is perhaps the smallest lampshade in an epilogue I've ever seen concerning time travel. So it does take some effort on his side to do this. I don't know what kind, but there's no explanation as to how or what he's doing to stop slavery in Europe or all of the Atlantic. It's just, okay, you tried and kept trying until you got it. And somehow, not only does he not screw his entire family's lineage, that is, he somehow gets the same wife and daughter back incredibly, but it also seems like he's recreated Wakanda from the Black Panther in America or somewhere else. It's really hard to say. See, time travel is confusing enough, but to pair it up with some sort of social justice concepts, I mean, this is nuts. Like, what did this man do to the timeline? Like, where and what is this city? What time does this take place in? Just because of slavery? I mean, now you have a dominant black ethno state, perhaps? Like, where? What happened to the billions, if not trillions of lives he just snuffed out from the timeline? And this all ends with this message: turns out you can have everything. Anyone who says you can't needs to dream bigger. Okay, sure, that's a nice message and all, Jax, but I'm sure if someone had a time machine, they could do a lot of things. A lot of bad things, too. Not sure about getting what they want specifically, so the message of the story is, if you're a woke person, just be more woke. You need to think bigger. You have to think wokeness times two, I guess. in a scenario where you eviscerate your foes into tiny bits, and you might maybe get a time machine, you might free some slaves, end the entire slave trade in Europe, and then make your idealized SJW ethno state. Yay! And this is all from an ultra-violent fighting game. So not only do SJW ideas sound weird and silly and dumb, I mean, whoever wrote this didn't know what the devil they were doing, but the ideas themselves are hard to make into reality, even in a fictional world where time travel is possible.